Soumeet Sarkar is here to try and tell why investors have suddenly grown wary of this telecom tower company. And Soumeet, it seems to have started ever since that slightly tough news flow for telecom companies started. What's happening with Bharti Infratel? What can we expect going ahead?
So if you see, the share prices of Bharti Infratel have now fallen to over 5-year low. In the last 3 trading sessions, it has declined by over 17%. Now, this is after the Supreme Court judgment which was passed in favor of the government. Now, according to that judgment, telecom companies will need to pay an hefty dues to the government. Now, Bharti Infratel will have to pay close to 22,000 crore rupees, while Vodafone Idea will have to pay close to 28,000 crore rupees. Now, this is not the exact amount, as the same has still not been disclosed, but these were the amount that was stated in the government affidavit that was submitted earlier. So the actual amount is expected to be nearby this amount. Now, for Reliance Jio, the amount is low at around 13 crore rupees, and that is because it started its commercial operations only 3 years back. Now, given the stretched balance sheet of the telecom companies and their weak financials, that is Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea, paying such hefty dues would be a matter of concern for both these companies, that too in the next 3 months. Now, given the current debt leverage ratio, cash position that they have, and their quarterly cash that they generate, paying off such a huge amount will lead to an incremental debt on their books, which will in turn lead to higher interest servicing cost for these companies. Now, as their debt cost will increase, these companies will look to rationalize their operational cost, as we had seen earlier. Now, one of the major costs for this telecom companies is network cost, which majorly includes the tower rental cost. Now, earlier we had seen Vodafone Idea, after their merger, cut their network expenses by reducing the number of towers. And financially, if you see, Vodafone Idea is Airtel is better placed when compared to Vodafone Idea. So there are more chances that Vodafone Idea might look to rationalize this cost further. Obviously, Airtel will also do it, but there are more chances that Vodafone Idea will look to do it because they are financially weak as compared to Bharti Airtel. Now, and if there's a possible merger of Vodafone Idea with any other telecom companies, or if the company falls out, there's further risk for Bharti Infratel in losing out their yet another customer. Now, of the total tenancies of Bharti Infratel and Industars, if you see, Vodafone Idea holds nearly 32% of the total tenants, while the major chunk is held by Bharti Airtel and close to 13% is held by Reliance Jio. Now, according to Morgan Stanley estimates, if the company loses out on 22% of its existing tenants, that is half of what Vodafone Idea owns, then its FY21 revenues would be lower by nearly 20% and their EBITDA would be lower by nearly 30%. And if the company loses out on 38% of its tenants, that is the entire Vodafone Idea that Bharti Infratel and Industars have moved out of that rent, then its revenue and EBITDA estimates for FY21 would be lower by nearly 38% and 46%. So that's a big chunk that would move out of Bharti Infratel, and that's the risk that Bharti Infratel is currently facing, and that's the reason we are seeing such a downfall in the share prices of companies. However, it all depends on how telecom companies now face these new blows, and if the government will step up to help the telecom companies, given the fact that the balance sheet is stretched and the financials are weak. Analysts are believing that government might step in and take some measures to revive the telecom sector, but we'll have to see how things pan out for the telecom sector, and on basis of that, Bharti Infratel's future also depends.
So the street is doing a bit of a risk off. There is no certainty that any of the moves that we've spoken about will happen. Probability, yes, not necessarily, but the street is playing a bit of a risk off, right?
Well, yes, street is actually factoring in that a lot of Vodafone Idea tenancies would move out, or they would look to ask Bharti Infratel to lower their rentals, because the fact that network expense is one of the major expenses, and that's the expense that they can cut down on. So that's the risk that Bharti Infratel is facing. Now, if you see in the second quarter, the rental per tower per month had come down for the first time in the last 6 quarters, and this could lead to further downfall in the tower rentals, or in fact fall in the tenancies that Bharti Infratel has been seeing.